Welcome back, everyone, to another Gear Talk every Thursday right here. At least every other Thursday I'm doing. I decided I'm going to spread these out if you haven't noticed. Like when I did every other day for my Let's Plays, we're doing every other day for Gear Talk. So I don't burn myself out constantly like I normally do. So if you saw the title, you'll think, what does this have to do with the Hivebuster discussion series? Well, I've got news for you. It doesn't. It has nothing to do with it. Because yesterday's Let's Let's Play we had was Gears Tactics, which every other Let's Play video is a Gears Tactics. Doing them right now, you should go watch. Going through all the Gears games, all the DLCs, go watch. They're amazing. Anyway, we went through and we were doing that, and I brought up the topic of what happened to Myrrah at Mount Kadar, or specifically what the scientists did to her, how bad humanity was, and what really happened to her, just the birth of the Locusts, pretty much. So, this is more of a correction from what I said. I put like a little minute-and-a-half blurb in that thing. I like cut out and was like, hey, here's what actually happened, because I got it wrong. I got it fully wrong. I was wrong with a lot of things. So, this is a correction video talking about it all. So, in the video, I talked about how it came that the original Locusts were made. Like, the Locusts we know, how they were made from sires to that. And Myrrah came up in it all. And Myrrah, I brought up it was very blunt with what happened to her. I brought up and what I believed happened to her. Because up until 5, remember, we only had speculations of a lot of things. So I brought up, like, she was mated, she was used for mating with the sires. Now, this is wrong, but not entirely. So, I'm going to start from the beginning and kind of just work my way through. This isn't going to be like the origin of the Locusts or anything. I have a plan for whenever I do that video. It's going to be a lot bigger and a lot more, like, informative and a lot more stuff. This is more like just correcting the assumptions of what happened at New Hope and Mount Kadar. When we had Myrrah first introduced for anything lore-wise, we had her going to New Hope. This is, well, actually before New Hope, she was with her father in a mining colony, and they all were suffering from rust lung. Now, she wasn't really suffering, but everyone else was, and it was seen like she was in contact with emulsion. So, they all went over to New Hope, or they were pretty much brought there. It's like, these people have rust lung, we can test them, let's do it. So they go on over there, they're brought there, and that's where the testing begins, everyone's looked at, and I'm not too certain if this is when the sires began. I think this is right after they started doing that. So they bring everyone over there, and Myrrah's with them. Myrrah's just a really small child at this point, like maybe even 5 or 6, up to 8, I think, around that range, so she's a child. They go over, and they're doing all these tests and everything. Children are pretty much being turned into sires at this point. Out of this batch, too, where Myrrah is introduced with her batch of experimented children, pretty much, we have Ukon is also introduced. He's the only sire that kept his intelligence, kept his sanity, kept who he was. So he looked like a sire. He looked like a different kind of sire. Like, if you've played Tactics, he doesn't look like your sires. But he definitely looks different. He was like the original Locust. Like, if you count, like, since he was in the army, he was in the militia, the Locust Horde, and he was, like, one of their main figures. He was kind of the original Locust, just not, like, the perfected, this is, like, what the Locusts are. He was just the first of pretty much the group. If you don't count Myrrah, because Myrrah started it all. So she's introduced, and they're doing all of this testing on everyone. They're doing genetic testings. They're changing the physiology of all these kids pretty much, and even some adults, I'm guessing, but the kids were a little easier. They're going through, and they're testing all of these creatures from the Hollow and infusing their DNA, and you get the sires. Those are pretty much the children experimented on. Now, when they get over to Myrrah, and they start testing her with emulsion, they notice nothing's happening. Like, there's no change, there's nothing going on, she's not having, like, a physical reaction or an even internal reaction, nothing's happening. So they did their tests on her, they went through and looked at everything, and what they found, and I believe Dr. Torres was, like, the head of doing all this, Dr. Samson was the head of it all, but, like, Torres was, like, his right-hand man that was doing a lot of this while he was overseeing. Torres goes through and looks at everything, and he brings up to Samson, like, we have gone through everything, we have looked at, you know, her reactions to it. We've gone through, looked at her DNA. We've gone through her biology. We've done everything. She has no, like, no major reaction like the others. This is like a scientific anomaly. Like, we can't replicate it. We can't do this to anyone else. Myrrah is the only one who has no negative effects affecting her near the emulsion, and we can't find a way to make it happen for anyone else. This is like, we can't like have this go down the drain. This is our main big, like, this is our goose egg right here, our golden goose egg. So this is when they're going through New Hope and they're testing everything. Now, at this point, people are leaving and problems are happening. And the government knew. Like, I don't remember if it was Monroe who was in charge. I don't think it was Monroe. I think Monroe took place after the one that knew about this. Or maybe it was Monroe. The chairman learned about it. He already knew, but everyone else was leaking information, and at this point, they're like, shut it down. Just shut it all down. This is obviously not yielding results. Get rid of what you're doing. Get out. I banish you to Kadar, which is pretty much what happened. So the scientists are all kicked out, but then a secret organization is just like, hey, if you want to continue your research, you can do it here, and well, I have a theory video, and I can talk about that stuff later, but we're here about the part with Myrrah that's coming up. They transfer to the new place, completely secret. No one knows anything about this place. And this is where they're pretty much given the golden ticket. Experiment all you want away with anything you want. So this is where things get a lot more graphic. And Gears is very good at talking about graphic situations. The comics are very good. The books are good. The games are very good. Everything's good. Even with the Coalition in charge right now, they're still able to tackle some of this. And they bring up like graphic things that possibly could have even happened. So they go there, and they also realize at this point, Myrrah is not aging. Like, they've been doing this for years, and Myrrah doesn't look any different. So they keep looking into it, and they realize, like, this anomaly is also benefited from emulsion. She's not aging. She's aging extremely slow. No negative effects from emulsion. I think they said healing capabilities, but I don't believe so. They do state that Ukon shares some of the abilities that Myrrah had from their testing, but it could have been like Myrrah got longevity, so she gets to live long, while Ukon got a different form of healing. Like, hers is healing of, like, I can live long, while Ukon's is I can just regrow. I can heal very, very quickly. He has fast regeneration, like quick regeneration where he can grow his hands back. He has that, she has longevity, and I think there was one other they said that someone had, but I don't remember. But they go through and they're testing her, and again, she's a child. And they're like, okay, the sires are not our end game we're working on. They're mindless beasts. We need to create something like a soldier that can actually do work. Like, actually go through and start, like, being a soldier. So, they decide, since Myrrah is kind of this anomaly, her DNA is perfect, and they're testing everything, let's test her with the sires. And what do you know? Her DNA is almost perfect to work with sire DNA. So they're like, we need to get her mixed with them as quick as we can to see what comes out. And this is where I thought yesterday, things were a little more graphic, which they could still be. We don't know the full story, but the original assumption that Kate came to when she learns this is, you had my grandmother breeding with the sires. And Samson says, that's barbaric, we wouldn't do that. We took her embryonic stem cells and mixed it with sire DNA. I said sires, scions a lot in yesterday's video, so I'm getting that out of my head. But they did that. So when they mixed it together, pretty much all of her children were, lack of a better term, test tube babies. Like, they were born in tubes. So they did that with the first one they did. When they mixed everything, it was a success. And that's how we get the Matriarch. The Matriarch was the one that came out from all of this. Now, the thing they learned about the Matriarch is able to breed. She can have offspring. All the sires are sterile, so they can't have offspring. Well, originally they can't have offspring because, obviously they're going to rip someone to shreds and kill them, but also, like, the sire, once you get sire baby grown in someone, it's probably going to kill them from the inside out, or it's going to die on its own. I'm guessing the Matriarch was the first where it could handle the child, or it was compatible to have children with the sires. Now, Myrrah. My assumption was that she bred with the sires. I honestly believe that. I forgot about the scene in 5. I know, me being a genius, I forgot it. But Samson's known to lie. The doc is known to lie. Now, there's two ways to think about it. A, they would never throw their golden goose egg, this anomaly to science, and just throw it in with a sire. Just like, oh, she'll breed with the sire, and she's dead. that's probably what would have happened. She did consider the sires to be her friends and everything, too. They were obviously mindless beasts, but, you know, Myrrah was still like, oh, my friends. And I have a feeling they kept her away from them. Option B was maybe they did, like, strap one... And this is graphic again, and this is very, like, not PG, PG-13 or R. Maybe they strapped a sire down and let the testing begin. I mean, again, like, this is a very, very dangerous, horrible world. Like, how locusts are made, as far as we know, is... Well, as we did know, the locusts are gone. As far as we knew, it was horrible. Like, in order to have a child, a berserker had to be held down by a group of male locusts, and then the deed was done in order to impregnate the berserker. Again, it's a very, very horrible world. And the idea is in that idea, and I've talked about before, is that they are born from hatred and rage. The berserker is literally having one of the most horrible things done to a human being done to her in order to create this monster. They are monsters made by horrible acts. That's what they're going for with the locusts. Again, I thought Myrrah did. They're saying she didn't, but the doc's known to lie, and I do believe they might have done some testing in that way. Because they do also state she's only had one human child. Do I think that she's birthed the locust herself? I don't think so, but again, like, at this point they can change the lore however they want. They left that door kind of open. So that was the mistake I made. I thought she was doing the deed with sires, which is a horrible thing, but Gears is known for horrible things. No, her embryonic stem cells were being used, and that's what created the Matriarch. Now, the Matriarch, she had a bunch of horrible things done with her. The Matriarch really got the short end of the stick in all of this. Not only was she, for the majority, I'd say 95% of her life, living in a giant, like, that giant circular vat, where she was in stasis, because they were finally developing and figuring out the hive mind situation, the proto-pseudo one before we got to the swarm, where it's like a perfected one. Yeah, pretty much the only time she was brought out is pretty much to birth creatures, the locusts. And when she gave birth, those actually came out as the actual locusts. She gave birth, I guess, like, for the locusts, I guess, like, the majority of the births that come out are mostly male. Like, it's already stated, like, berserkers, there's not, like, an army of berserkers out there. It's not a 50-50 split. Like, it'll be a boy or a girl. Like, 95% of the time, you're getting a male. Like, the Cantus, the drones, the Therons, like, the random deformed ones that come out, I guess, like Karn. Like, all of those are male. Like, now and then you'll get something really crazy, like when Ram was born. It said he was like a 1 in a million locust. This guy he's not built like a drone, but he is a drone. Like, you'll get a 1 in a million thing like that. While Myrrah herself was just an anomaly. And she had a very heavy connection with all of her children. She birthed with her embryonic cells, pretty much. And it, honestly, like, it's horrible. Like, what they really did to her is just bad. Like, and it gets worse. Like, the COG are not good people. The COG sanctioned all this. Like, the COG are very bad people. This world has no good people. Like, Sarah has no good guys and bad guys. There are none. Like, whoever wins the war is the good guys. I guarantee that if the Gorazni would have won the war, the UIR won, I guarantee the COG would have been the bad guys. That's how war is. Like, it's a horrible thing, but that's how it works. And again, like, in the comics, you have the birthing farms from the COG. Literally, and again, I'm not trying to get graphic here, but this video is talking about, like, what happens in the story. I'm not trying to, like, throw my own conjecture or ideas into things. This stuff was stated and happened, and it's a very sad thing we can all learn from not to do in the world. But the birthing farms they would take women who were not enlisted, who were not a part of the military, civilians, who seemed like they were in good health or good genes. They would bring them to these camps where they were constantly mated with countless men against their will until they were pregnant. And then they would give birth to the next generation of soldiers. Again, very horrible stuff. Not good. And if you could not give birth to children, I'm guessing after years of this, or maybe just a year, or maybe months, I don't know, it's still all horrible. One day of this would be horrible. If you are barren, you are labeled barren, and they throw you in the military. And the only way you really get out of it is if, like, you're already in the military, already enlisted, you come from a really high, well-known family, your family, like, there's someone pulling strings. Like, there's very little ways to get out. Anya was not in here because, and I still don't know to this day if it said in the comics or books if she was barren before 5 or 4, but she also had Helena Stroud as her mother. No one's going to put Helena Stroud's daughter in a birthing camp. No one's going to do that. Sam did not go because Hoffman had pull. No one is going to do that. Bernie was already enlisted during the Pendulum Wars when they weren't really doing this. And Bernie is also like a very seasoned veteran, and she's also older in her age. I kind of went off on a tangent at the end about the birthing farms, but still, the COG do horrible things. I said I'd end it out with that, but now I'll actually end it with this question. And I'll leave it up to you guys. I'm not going to really answer this one. I answered it sort of in the Let's Play, but this is more of like up to you guys. So, question for you. A two-part question. Is Myrrah wrong in her hatred of humans? And the second question, does the COG deserve, not humanity itself, but the COG, deserve what happened when E-Day began? I'll leave that to you. That's going to do it for the video. Again, I want to make this one shorter. This is kind of a shorter one than what I normally do, which is good. I'll end it quick so I don't just keep running. I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you for making this possible. We're going to have a small break for the Gear Talks. Not like the other ones I say. This will be like just 3 weeks. I'm going to get everything back in line now that NHL's. I put the last one up I have last week. So after this, I'm going to wait 3 weeks, get this back on a normal schedule, and I'm going to start releasing these when the NHL's would have went so that I can get things back on schedule instead of just busting my ass every other week trying to get 3 videos done in a row. So I'm going to leave it off here. Schedule will be back to normal soon, like normal. And yeah, we'll go back to the Hive Buster series after this one. This was just a quick correction video, and also it never hurts to talk about something other than the Hive Busters. I'm still itching to get back to talking about Locusts. I'm just talking about Hive Busters at this point. So thank you guys for watching. Thank the patrons for making this possible. Thank everyone for making this possible. I will see you guys in the next video. Later.